And then you got the nerve to show up later when you feel like you're good and ready, or when you need something, or boy, please. Hi guys, this is Nika. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk to you ladies about a little girl chat topic. It's pretty much 5 things that I have learned while dating as a plus size lady, because as plus sizes and I've been big my whole life, and you know, it's the only way I've ever known to date. And so I can say that as plus size ladies, I think we do share a similar experience in this kind of way, and you know, the way we're perceived, and the way some men might decide to treat us, and the perceptions that people have about what we should or shouldn't do, or can or can't do. And just don't get me started, okay? And not even just plus size women, but as women, period, you know. So all women, there are so many rules, so many things, so many things that are forced upon us, especially when it comes to our personal lives, our relationships, and all that kind of stuff. So I figured if these things that I've learned are things that you have not learned yet, then maybe they're things that can contribute to your life in some kind of way, you know. And plus, I just wanted somebody to talk to about this, because this has been on my mind a lot lately. I've been spending a little bit more time on like Twitter and seeing a lot of posts about, you know, women, plus size women in particular, and the way they've been treated and the things that have been said to them. And it just really got me thinking and reminiscing about my own experiences and how far I've come in the things that I know, in the way that I treat myself, in the way that I let myself be treated by others, I guess, or the way I let others treat me. That's what I meant to say. And and you know, I just wanted to have this conversation with you. So if you end up liking this video, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Also, like I said, this is meant to be a conversation, so do let me know in the comment section below whether you agree with anything I've said, whether you've had any of these experiences yourself, whether you see value or some kind of insight in something I said. I'd love to be helpful to someone, because I know I've come a long way, and I've learned a lot of things, and I'm still learning a lot of things. So, you know, this list is probably going to continue to grow, you know, things that I have learned and am learning. And especially now that I'm in a relationship, boy, there's things you learn there too, okay? So, I mean, it's an ever-growing subject, and it's ever-changing and ever-evolving. And if this hair don't stay out of my face, and I'd love to talk about it with you ladies, because some of these dudes be tripping, and some of these ladies be tripping. People be tripping, okay? Whether you like guys, whether you like girls, whether you like both. I'm sure you've had some experiences that might have been tied to, you know, your appearance in some way, whether you were too tall or too short or too thin or too thick or too whatever the case is. These are often shared experiences, and so I'd really love to talk to you ladies about it in the comment section below or on any of my social medias. Let me know what you think, girl. I have so much to say. I hope I don't keep you guys here all day. I'm gonna try to keep it to 5 things. Now, like I said, this list may grow, so if I end up making additional videos like this, it may be 5 more things and 5 more after that. And some of these might be lumped in together just for the sake of covering a very broad subject in one video. All right, so I don't think that these are in any particular order, just because they're all so important on their own. But number 1 thing that I have learned, or one of the things I have learned while dating as a plus size lady, is not only is it okay to have standards, it is very important that you have standards. So what I mean is, whether that's a trait that's considered to be like superficial, so whether you want a tall guy or a muscular guy or a slim guy or a short guy or a bearded guy or a dreaded guy, which used to be my thing, the dreads, woo. I mean, regardless of what those things are, it is okay for you to have those standards, and it's very important that you have those standards, because you're allowed to like what you like and to want what you want. And the same goes for if it's like a behavioral thing. You know, if your standards say that you're not gonna date a guy who has side chicks, girl, first of all, one time for you, okay? Because Who side chicks, don't get me started. But if those are your standards, that you say you will absolutely not tolerate a man with side chicks or with other women, or a guy that just wants to be friends with benefits when that's not what you want, or you know, whatever the case may be, it's very important to have those standards and make those standards known when necessary. So there are those sayings that are like, you teach people how to treat you, which I totally agree with. And also, people will treat you however you let them treat you. And I think those go hand in hand in this, because if you allow certain behavior, or if you pretend to be okay with certain behavior for the sake of being with a man or having a man or keeping a man, then you're depriving yourself of your happiness, you know, of what you want, of what you deserve, and what you should be able to find in a person. Now, just because the person that you're with at that moment may not be able to give that to you, does not mean that you will never find anyone. And so it's important that you not settle for just any old thing, because people will try to give you any old thing if you let them. I mean, it's bad enough that there's that perception that plus size women are insecure, and so you can take advantage of them, you can treat them any kind of way, you don't have to have any, you know, real approach with them. It's like they ought to feel lucky that I'm talking to their fat behinds anyway, or something crazy like that. Ooh, I wish a fool would. Girl, don't got me ready to take off earrings and rings, and like I said, don't get me started. Okay, whether it's something like that, like, you know, he feels like he doesn't have to try, or he doesn't have to put in an effort with us because we're easy targets, because we just want someone to like us. You know, it's not okay for people to automatically assume anything like that, first of all, or to treat someone in that way as if they don't deserve more. So whether you demand that he holds the door open and, you know, puts your jacket on for you and holds your umbrella, or whatever the standards are that you may have, or, you know, if you feel that your mate must communicate and must be trustworthy and must be willing to put in the work and actually make an effort and show up and be present, you know, if these are your standards, believe me, you better have standards, girl. Okay, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And so that runs me directly into number 2, actually. And the second thing I've learned is that you do not have to settle for just anything that comes your way. So I know there are some of us who either are insecure about our bodies, or some attributes we may have, or, you know, our education level, or our financial success, or our employment level, or whatever it is that we're insecure about. And I know sometimes it makes us feel like we have to settle for whoever is out there that happens to like us. And so I know I'm speaking for me in this case, because there was a time where the people that I was involved with them because they liked me. And sure, I kind of liked them, I guess. Or they were the type that looks good on paper, that, you know, okay, he has a job, check. He has a car, check. He's not on drugs, check. He's never been to jail, check. They looked good on paper, but then I was with them and it just never really felt right. You know, either there was no chemistry, or we just weren't suited for each other. You know, sometimes the square peg just won't make it into the round hole type of thing, you know, like we just weren't suited at all. And in my mind, I kind of knew that the relationship was going nowhere, and I sometimes allowed it to continue on, because it's like, well, I guess he'll do, you know. I mean, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and so I might as well date this guy because he likes me. And I've heard a lot of women say that it's better to be with a guy who's more into you than you're into him, and, you know, all these things. So maybe that's what they mean, and maybe it's good enough that he's good on paper, even though the chemistry's off, or even though he's not consistent. Like, what if no one else comes along? What if I can't find anyone else? And so I guess he'll do, and I guess I might as well be with him, even though I can't necessarily see myself being happy with him in the long run. Ooh, I'm just telling all the business. I didn't expect to get so deep. I was gonna give you a list like number 1, number 2, number 3, but now I'm telling all stories and stuff. And I mean, I feel like what I've learned from these kind of situations is that it's really up to us to decide what we're worth and what we deserve out of someone else or out of the way someone else treats us. In this particular case that I was alluding to, you know, with the guy that I wasn't really feeling that much, but he was into me and he checked all the boxes, and he had these bouts of being incredibly inconsistent. And so he would be blowing up my phone, blowing up the text, you know, the good morning text that we all love so much. He'd be coming to pick me up. We'd be going for the weekend, just, you know, spending time together, being very much involved with each other, you know, like communicating and spending time and, you know, actually connecting, you know. But then something would happen and I'd go for days without hearing from him. I think it had gone up to about a week without me hearing from him, and then he'd pop up out of the blue and act like nothing ever happened. Like we spoke just earlier today. Hey, what's up? What you doing? Yeah, I was thinking about coming down to swoop you up so we can go out and da-da-da and da-da-da. And I'm like, wait a minute. Who is this? You know, because the person I was talking to fell off the face of the earth 2 days ago. He did not return my calls. He did not call me. He did not text back. He did not text me, period. You know, there was no communication. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey boo, hey baby, what you doing? Can I come get you? And I'm like, you joking, right? Like this gotta be a joke. But actually, I guess that's me thinking back, you know, looking back, like, he had to be joking, because at the time there was that part of me that knew, like, girl, why is he playing games? What's wrong with him? You know, this is not okay. But then there was that other part that would believe the stories that he told and believe the lies and believe the sweet nothings and still go back to that whole thought, like, well, I guess he'll do, you know. He's not consistent, but he came back this time. He said he's sorry. He said he won't do it again. You know, he said he's gonna work on it and he's going through things, and he had all these wonderful excuses. So I guess no. You absolutely have to not settle for just any kind of treatment that's given to you if that's not the way you want to be treated. You have to make it known that certain things are okay, certain things are not okay, certain things are deal breakers, there might be things you're willing to compromise on. But if you have hard and fast deal breaker items for you that you demand in a mate, it's only fair to the both of you to make sure you make those known and that you don't settle for less than you're worth. And so if we're dealing with each other, whether that's texting or talking, or you're trying to get to know me better, or you want to be more than friends, or we're dating, or, you know, whatever the label is, girl, I don't know the labels. Clearly I'm struggling here, but, you know, whatever the involvement is, if we are dealing with each other, I feel like I'm not asking too much to ask for consistency. I expect you to show up when you say you are. I expect you to keep promises. I expect you to continue communication. Now, that does not make me needy. That does not make me extra, or that does not mean I'm doing too much, or whatever the young ones would say these days. You know, I deserve that consistency, and if you feel like I don't, then clearly you're dealing with the wrong person. You know, you can take a step to the left, like Beyonce would tell you, and find someone else who's okay with that, because for me, I'm just not. And then you got the nerve to show up later when you feel like you're good and ready, or when you need something, or, boy, please. You just lucky I didn't know then what I know now, okay? And y'all, this story in particular, it got so complicated, and now that I even think back, I'm like, oh boy, all that did happen, didn't it? I won't get into it here, but it got interesting, girl. It got real interesting, okay? Let's just say Nika knows better now. So the third thing I learned, or another thing that I learned, you know, whatever, is that as amazing as I am, and as wonderful as I'd like to think I am, and no, this is not me like being cocky and like, yeah, I'm amazing, but no, you know, I know what I bring to the table. So as great as I want to think I am, right? I know that I will not be everybody's cup of tea. That's just the way it goes. What I learned is that you got to become okay with that, right? Because for the right person, I will be the whole pot of tea, you know? Oh, and that guy, Derek Jackson, made a video about this recently, that you're perfectly fine for the right person, you know? So although things may not work out with a certain person that you thought you should be with or that you expected to be with, you know, it turns out to be that whole square peg in the round hole, or whatever the analogy was that I used, that they just might not be the right person for you. And so although there are tons of men out here, I may not be all their cups of tea, but I don't need to be everybody's cup of tea. I just need to be one person's pot of tea. Just one person needs to know that I'm the bee's knees, that I'm amazing, that I'm wonderful, that I have a lot to offer, and that one person is all I really need, you know? So I'm not out here trying to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm not gonna be offended when I'm not someone's type, or when someone's not into me, or when someone that I might be interested in does not have the same feelings in return. And that's usually not the case. I mean, there haven't been that many people that I've been interested in lately. Well, don't let my boo hear that, but not lately, obviously, like even up to meeting him, because what the people were offering and trying to bring to my table just wasn't good enough. You know, it wasn't good enough to sit at my table, basically. You can't sit with us because you're trying to bring Netflix and chill with you, you know? You're trying to bring, hey, so what you doing tonight after the club with you? I don't want that. No thanks. Thanks but no thanks, guy. And this was, you know, I've been had those standards, but this was especially when I was on that self-growth and self-discovery kind of phase, because I knew that there were things that I just was not here for. I was not here for it, you know? So depending on the approach, depending on what the offer was, we are not gonna play the friends with benefits thing until you magically fall in love with me, or whatever the girls are supposed to think is gonna happen. I mean, no, we're not gonna do any of that. I'm not interested, thanks but no thanks. And so as much as it would hurt to have my phone feel dry, you know, no good morning texts, nobody checking for me, you know, nobody trying to come scoop me up or take me out, or, you know, nobody to go to the movies with or go to lunch with, or whatever it was, you know, no romantic interest at that point, as sucky as that was sometimes. It just wasn't worth the trouble, you know, to deal with the people that were propositioning me. Was that what? I don't know. It just wasn't worth the extra work. And so as sad as it was sometimes to feel like, oh girl, don't nobody want you, you know, or man, I might be single forever, or, you know, something like that. It was definitely a time that I needed to go through, and it was something that I needed to learn, because it's very, very important to understand that just because somebody does not turn out to be the right person for you does not mean that that person out there does not exist. Did I say that right? No, does not mean that that person does not exist somewhere out there. Does that make sense? I think that made sense. And yeah, it was definitely a lesson worth learning. The fourth thing I learned was that backhanded compliments are not endearing, nor are they cute, nor are they flattering. There's no space for that in a healthy relationship, for you to have those backhanded compliments. Like, oh, you're pretty for a fat girl. You, yeah, you. No, just no. You know, or even though you're fat, I still like you. Like there's any reason you shouldn't like me because I'm fat. You know, okay, I get it. You may not be attracted to my body type, and that's fine. Then go knock elsewhere, you know? Take your milkshake to somebody else's yard. No, that's the wrong way. Let somebody else's milkshake call you to their yard. Yeah. At this point, I'm delirious, guys. It's late. But yes, basically, if you're not interested in this milkshake, go to somebody else's yard. I understand if you feel like I have a pretty face, but you're not attracted to my body. Fine, keep it to yourself. I'm not interested. I'm totally not gonna be flattered by that. To be like, oh, he said he likes me. Or even though I'm fat, he looked past that and he still likes me anyway. Girl, no. If he likes me for who I am, all of me, all of this here, all of this chocolateness, you know, and everything I have to offer, my intellect, my conversation, my character, my good looks, you know, whatever it is that someone might be interested in you for, or that someone might see as an attribute in you, that should never be negated by the way you look. You know, that should never ever be the thing that they're looking past in order to see the good in you. Either you like me or you don't. That's the way I see it. And so essentially this person is telling you that they like you while still tearing you down at the same time. And I know a lot of my brown sisters get the same thing. Oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. It's like, what's that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? Either I'm pretty or I'm not, you know? And even if I was or I wasn't, then nobody asked you anyway, I'm sure of it, you know? So either way, so you're pretty for a big girl, you're pretty for a fat girl, or you're sexy for a fat girl. I actually had one guy tell me once it was like an after party type of atmosphere from my younger days. But he said something like, oh, I could be talking to any girl in here, but I decided to talk to you. And I'm like, congratulations. Would you like a cookie, boo? Would you like a cookie? And like I said, at this point, I'm so glad that I had some self-worth about myself, that I did have some self-confidence, that I was not desperate, that I was not, you know, feeling like I needed to latch on to any and everybody that came my way or that looked my way or that paid me a compliment. And this gentleman, I remember him being quite attractive actually, and I probably would have spoken to him until he let the dumbest thing possible just slip out of his mouth, as if I'm supposed to be like, well, thank you so much, thank you, thank you. Thank you. You're right. I feel honored. I feel honored. Girl, no. Just know, it's not okay. It's not cute. You're not gonna make me feel flattered. If I am still that insecure 15-year-old, I might giggle and be like, there's a lot of pretty girls in here and he's talking to me. But I'm not that insecure 15-year-old anymore, you know, and thankfully I wasn't at that time either. And you either come correct or just stay away. Just don't come at all. Don't come. Ain't nobody call for you. Like they say, don't come for me if I didn't send for you. In this case, just leave me be. If you're gonna come with stupidity and foolishness, why? Just why? Just save us both the time and the effort, boo. Just don't. Oh my gosh, I got some comments on my last video. You ladies are so amazing. And I just hit 500 subscribers. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. And I'm so glad you guys are liking the videos. And before you stop liking this one, let me get to it and tell you the 5th thing, which probably should have been the first thing, but like I said, no real order to this, you know. The thing of all things that I have learned while dating as a plus size lady, as a fat girl, as a big girl, as a biggins, as a chubster, as a, I don't know, whatever word you want to call it, is that it is okay to be single. Now I'm gonna say it again for those of y'all in the back who might not have heard me, okay? It is okay to be single. It is 100% okay to be single. And this is coming from a woman who's engaged to be married. I know that sometimes there's that idea that women are all like, oh, I don't need a man. I'm happy to be single and yada yada. And then when they get a man, it's like, oh, ladies, you don't know what you're missing. You should come get a man. You should get you one too. And I don't necessarily agree with that, you know? I feel like it is, not only is it okay to be single, it's imperative to be single at some point. You know, we have to spend some time by ourselves. And that is not to say that you have to be lonely or you have to be alone or that you have to feel lonely or that you'll never feel lonely or anything like that, you know. Depending on who you are, what you like, what your personality is like, you may have an easier time at it than someone else might. For me, I happen to be an introvert for the most part, and I love my own company. You know, I love being in this mind. I love thinking about things, planning things, making lists, getting things done, spending time locked in a room with my Netflix or my iPad or a project or whatever it is. I love it. And so once I got past the point of feeling like I needed a man's attention to validate me, I was able to finally see the value in spending time by myself. So what I mean is, when those good morning texts dry up, when those Facebook notifications or offers to date or dinner or whatever, when those dry up, or when you decide to pay those no attention and decide to be single for a while, it can be tricky. You will see a lot, you'll notice a lot more couples than you have before. Like suddenly everybody will be coupled up. You're like, wait, another one, another one. suddenly Valentine's Day comes by in an instant. You know, it's all about the love and the hearts and the candies and all that, but it is some of the most rewarding times that I have spent learning myself, essentially, and building myself up and creating the person that I want to be, you know. And again, it's too much to get into, so let me know if there's any particular topic in this video that you'd like me to elaborate on further, as far as what my thoughts on it are. But essentially, it's so necessary to spend the time by ourselves and to evaluate ourselves, our lives, our futures, our wants, our desires, our standards, you know, all those things, our deal breakers, our priorities, you know, all these things about ourselves, so that we can learn them, so that we can understand who we are, what we want, what we're motivated by, and what we need someone else to bring to the table to meet us there. They say relationships are 50-50, and my sister often quotes Dr. Phil saying something like, you know, relationships are really 100-100, that we each bring 100% of who we are to this table to create some kind of union and some kind of relationship here. So although we're each contributing half of a relationship, or our parts 50% to a whole relationship, we are really bringing 100% of who we are, 100% of what we've been through, 100% of where we want to go. And so it's very important that we be able to really think about those things and understand those things, and sit with them for a while without being so distracted by the men's or the women or whatever your flavor is. It can be so distracting. And in that time, if we don't know who we are yet, if we don't have that sense of self-worth developed yet, if we don't have that self-confidence built up yet, and these are all things that are practices. You do these things actively. You build up your self-confidence and your self-worth and your self-esteem if you don't have it already, you know. You actually work on these things until you have these skills, until you have these traits, until you see these things in yourself. And then at that point is when I think you're truly able to engage with someone in a way that's actually meaningful and in a healthy relationship. And yesterday on Facebook, I think it was, I saw this clip of a video of an interview with Eartha Kitt, the actress, singer extraordinaire. Basically, it was someone interviewing her about love and compromise, and he was asking if she feels like compromise is necessary, and she had some interesting thoughts on it, and I absolutely loved what she said. And if I can find a link to it or something, I'll include it in the description box below. So the guy asked the question, isn't love a union between two people, or does Eartha fall in love with herself, right? And I'm like, that's kind of a, I'm not gonna say any bad words, but that's kind of a messed up question to ask. Like, are you calling her self-centered? Are you trying to say that, you know, there's something like that going on? And then her response was, I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me. Girl, I was taken aback. It just felt so profound and so simple, and so true. Like, it's such truth. It's like, yes, because that's totally what it takes, you know. We do have to love ourselves in order to be able to show someone else and express to someone else how to properly love us. And I think that's what that whole cliche saying of if you don't love yourself, no one can love you, or however that saying goes, you know, no one else can truly love you if you don't love yourself, or something like that. And I've heard it, and I kind of understood what people meant when they said it, but it never really rang true to me, you know. So I'm like, well, even if I don't love myself, I have a boo, he says he loves me, and so clearly, duh, like, clearly that's not necessarily the case. But I understand what they mean if I'm thinking about it in the context of this interview, because yes, someone can have love for you and someone can care for you, but I feel like it takes a greater sense of self-awareness for us to understand how we like to be loved and what we require in a loving relationship. And what our standards are, what our boundaries are, and you know, all these things. And I feel like it takes you falling in love with yourself, like Miss Kit said. I feel like it takes that, and then finding someone who can meet you there. You know, finding someone to share that with you, someone who can contribute to that love, who can also love you while you're loving yourself, and not waiting on someone to love you instead of you loving yourself. And believe me, I know the feeling of being validated by someone else's affection, or by someone else's love, or by someone's sweet words. And I feel like, yes, there must be something attractive or beautiful or, you know, worthy in me if this person sees it, or if this person feels like I'm worth it, or if this person took the time or effort or whatever to pursue me, then that must mean that there's something in here, even if I don't see it. And so instead of waiting for this person to provide something where there's a deficit, you know, instead of there being a deficit of love that someone else has to come in and fill, no, we need to already work on that self-love to get there by the time we meet that person, so that they're able to share that with us. And man, that quote just had me shook. And I meant to share it on my Twitter or Instagram or one of those. I don't think I did at the time. I got so hyped about it. I went off on like a rant, like, yeah, she's so right, girl, and oh my gosh, and I gotta talk about this. And like I said, I think it's a video that's definitely worth watching, so check the description box, because it was just so profound. And this is Nika many years into her self-love and self-discovery journey, and I was still shook by that. And so I think it's just worth the listen. It's like 2 minutes or something, and hopefully it's down there. Otherwise, all this is for nothing, right? I feel like Wendy will, how you doing? Is that what she does? I am kind of like loopy when I get tired. And so like I said, these are all things that have gotten me thinking about this topic lately, and clearly I can't shut up. I've had a battery die on me since talking about this, so I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I have so much to say on this topic. I have experienced quite a bit, and a lot of it have been, you know, a lot of the things have been pushed to the back of my mind just because they're not, you know, important or relevant anymore. But I do remember the lessons that came out of it, and so I'm thankful for all the things and all the men that I encountered that do be tripping, and even the ones that didn't know how to come correctly or that shouldn't have come at all. You know, they have definitely taught me a thing or two, and I feel like I'm constantly going to be learning and growing. So like I said, if you want to hear more about anything at all that I said, do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to rant and rave more about it. Also, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, or if you saw value in anything that I said today, and consider subscribing, because I am a pretty new YouTuber, but I do have a lot of ideas of where I want to go from here, the kind of videos that I hope to make. I'd like to get to know you guys better. I know that a lot of us ladies have shared experiences, and we have a lot to kind of learn from each other, or to teach each other, just depending on which way you're looking at it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. So thank you so much for watching. It's been so awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a good one. Bye. Okay. Have to go make the baby a bottle. Ah, life of a mom. Boy, if that Nika could see this Nika, we made it, girl. We made it. And we can all make it.